Okay, so I was talking about knowledge management practices in Indian IT industry. So now I would refer to a survey that was conducted in 2011, and this survey was conducted on a number of Indian companies, at least 20 companies, many of them are multinational companies which are also having their offices in India. And then these survey reports suggest that what are the various reasons because of which IT companies have gone for implementing knowledge management system in their organizations. Now, these companies including both Indian and companies from other countries like we have Accenture, we have Cognizant, we have Oracle and IBM. And these are not Indian companies, but similarly we have TCS, CMC, then Wipro, which are very Indian companies. So, if you look at this, the data were collected from major IT industries, which include Tata Consultancy, CMC, Levantis, Wipro, Infovision, okay, Compare, RS Software, Cognizant, Usha Communication, Satyam, Accenture, Javasoft, Infosys, HCL, Oracle and IBM. Now, if you look at these IT companies, they are big names in the industry, they are doing a lot of work, including development of new products and systems, and also outsourcing lot of work for different clients in India and abroad. Now, if you look at the reason for which they have been able to launch say KM systems in their organizations include like the first and foremost is so that they are able to compete well with their competitors. Okay. Now, another objective was to retain and satisfy their customers. And also to ensure that they are able to retain talent and expertise. Okay. Similarly, it also helps them to develop new products and services. Okay. So, if you look at developing new products and services, many companies have been able to go for it. Okay. Similarly, if you look at image, okay, many Indian companies have been able to brand themselves as a good company which is very reputable with the use of IT systems, right. Similarly, they have been able to retain people, employees following these kind of systems, especially for not only for retention of the customers, but also retention of the employees. So, in that way they have been able to see that the key employees are not lost. Okay. So, that you can see that yes. Now, the various objectives for which these IT companies have launched knowledge management system in the organizations include be more competitive in the process, okay, able to retain customers and talent, develop new systems and practices, okay, increase the image and see that they are not able to lose talented people in the organization. So, on various fronts you can find that yes, KM system have been able to help them in the process. Now, another important factor was that how they are going to acquire knowledge. What are the different sources through which they are able to get knowledge? Okay. You know that most of these organizations have their websites, almost all except one or two organizations. They also try to use research journals, they also use competitors as a source of acquiring information. Okay. They also use internal communication system. Now, if you look at internal communication system, past history and websites, these are the three major sources of knowledge acquisition for most of the organizations. So, you can find that yes, knowledge is acquired through developing good internal communication system using an IT enabled system. Similarly, they have been able to use their websites extensively to create knowledge, to communicate knowledge. These websites also have repositories where the knowledge is made available to the employees, so that they have access to the knowledge, and they have also created a good user interface to access the knowledge, right. And there are some other sources that they use like portals, blogs, wikis and other sources, but that is not very effective in many IT companies. So, the most important sources actually if you look at it, you will find that is website and a good communication system and their own source, that is past history, the systems and processes which they have created, and then how they are going to make use of these systems and processes to acquire knowledge. Okay. Now, third part is that how this knowledge management systems have been able to help them to be more creative and innovative in the process, right. Now, if you look at most of the companies, okay, they have been able to generate lot of ideas, okay, but only collecting ideas from different stakeholders was not enough. In the process, you also try to see that the idea that is coming from various sources, okay, is being used in the organization. Okay. It could be related to process innovation, it could be related to product innovations, it could be related to anything. So, when you are going to use knowledge management system, you want to see that how people are going to be more creative and innovative. So, they are going to use different kind of sources to create knowledge, this created knowledge which is captured and kept in the repositories, how they are going to make use of these repositories to create new knowledge. So, if you look at the results, most of the companies, almost all the companies have been able to come out with new ideas, and have they also implemented these new ideas in the organizations to be more innovative in their processes, in their systems. With the help of these ideas which they have implemented the organization, they have been able to create better organizations, more innovative organizations, and they have also been able to create innovations in the systems and processes to help deliver better quality products with reduced cost, improved efficiency, and these kind of things. And that is why you will find that yes, they have been able to manage ideas which has come out of these knowledge management systems. They have implemented it very well, and they have been benefited out of it also. Now, if you look at it, it looks very purely technically when we say that yes, the idea has been coming out from the people, and then you are going to implement these ideas to get benefit. But if you really want to have a good knowledge management system in IT companies, you have to see that you need to create architecture, a system, a good KM system in place. Okay. And this knowledge management system makes sure that, if you remember, we talked about user interface, that is the first stage in the 7 layers. Now, you have to create a better platform through which you can have access knowledge, okay. And that is where technology is going to be used. You also need to ensure that it is consistent, it is the information is reliable, you are able to access the required information, okay, as an employee, and you make sure that you are able to make use of the information that is available with the repositories. Okay. So, if you are going to create a knowledge management system in the organization, you have to ensure these things, that the knowledge that is created is reliable and valid, people are going to use relevant information, are allowed to make use of it, and you have a better user interface for access of the knowledge. Now, the target, whether it is an employee or a customers or investors, okay, has to be taken into consideration when you are going to create KM systems. So, make sure that all the stakeholders have access at different points of time, okay, of this knowledge management system, and it is possible only when you have a commitment from the top management, because it is very, very crucial for developing a good knowledge management system. Ultimately, the resources, the budget, the commitment, the leadership support is coming from the top management, and that is why it is very, very important to get the resource, leadership, and commitment from the top management, actually, to ensure that you have a good knowledge management system. Now, another issue is that today we are talking about knowledge economy, okay, and workers are also called knowledge workers. So, how are we going to manage knowledge workers in a knowledge economy? Okay? Because if you look at knowledge workers, they have experience, they are very, very innovative, creative, okay, and then you have to see that how this experience and creativity, which is available in the form of tacit knowledge, is transformed into an explicit form, which can be leveraged for producing goods and services, okay, which are very, very innovative in nature, and through which you can reap benefits. See, we are talking about competitiveness, we are talking about globalization, and we are also talking about knowledge economy. So, knowledge economy, basically we say that the most important and valuable asset in the knowledge economy is the knowledge, and the knowledge is going to drive your performance. Okay. So, knowledge comes from experience, innovation, and creativity of the employees. Okay. So, the idea is that how you are going to transform them into explicit form. so that you can use them to create new products and services. Okay. And in order to do that, what you need to do is you have to see that how these personal experiences is being captured, that is the tacit knowledge of the people who have long experiences, who know about the things and how to do, they are very good in processes. Okay. So, how are you going to capture, assess and apply them. So, that basically talks about the role of the knowledge developers who are going to communicate with the experts and see that how their expertise could be transformed from tacit to explicit. So, they are responsible for capturing. Then you also need people who are going to evaluate the relevance and validity of these knowledge, to what extent it is going to be useful. Then you are going to see that you have developed a system and architecture through which people are able to make use of this knowledge. And similarly, you also need to see that you have a system for knowledge sharing and dissemination, that how the knowledge is going to be communicated across segments, across stakeholders within the organization, so that it helps you to solve problems and you are able to add value to the business, and that becomes a very important point today. Now, we will discuss some of the major issues which is being faced by Indian organizations, right. And the most important is that you need to look at the employee itself, which is very behavioral nature. Okay. That is where personality and professional attitude of the knowledge worker comes into the picture. Okay. See, each employee is different. It has its own psychophysical makeup, that is what we call personality. Okay. So, you have to see that the needs and expectations of the employees are different in a knowledge economy, right. Employees, those who are knowledgeable, those who can perform effectively, who are efficient, they have certain norms, value systems and also certain expectations from the organization. Okay. So, you have to see that how you are going to ensure that the needs and expectations of the employees are going to be fulfilled in the organization in general. Okay. So, what you need to do is that you need to see that how you can align these personal and professional growth with the corporativism. Okay. Because if employees find that yes, this knowledge management system is going to help them to grow personally and professionally, probably they would be more interested to go for this kind of thing. They would access knowledge, they would try to learn from it, they would try to gain experience which they will use at the job, and how this is going to be aligned with the goals and objectives of the organization, so that you are able to achieve your goals in terms of profit, market share and whatever it is. Okay. So, you need to see that what needs to be done in order to develop an attitude of collaboration and sharing. Okay. As I told you that one major problem with Indian organization has that where employees are not ready to share their knowledge with other people. Maybe they have a feeling of insecurity, and that is why they are not reluctant to share their knowledge. Okay. But probably we need to understand and tell them and also communicate the importance of sharing knowledge with each other, and how it is going to benefit not only the person, but others, because in a collaborative environment, when you are going to share your knowledge with others, the other person is also going to collaborate and share his knowledge with you. In that way, both the persons are going to be benefited, and that is the outcome of the collaborative sharing. It is mutually beneficial, and that is why it is important to make them understand the importance of collaboration and sharing, so that they come out. And another important point here is that you also need to create a culture for knowledge sharing. Okay. You encourage team building, you also make it a part of the performance appraisal system, as I talked about it. Okay. You also need to link it with the reward. Probably these things would help them or motivate them or encourage them to for knowledge sharing, and they would be ready to collaborate for these kind of things. Okay. And they also need to see that you are able to develop the critical competencies which is required, okay, in order to see that how they are going to make use of knowledge or information that is available in the repositories to be more creative and innovative. Okay. So, you need to develop these creativities, and for which you need to develop certain training and development program, so that they are able to develop themselves personally and professionally, and they develop those competencies which are required by them to be creative and innovative. Okay. Similarly, you also need to make them understand that how their work is going to affect the business, what they are doing, what kind of objectives they have, in what way they are going to contribute to the business. So, these are very important. So, if they have a good understanding of the business, because he is a part of the business, what will happen? They would readily contribute, provided they know how their contribution is going to affecting the business. Okay. Similarly, you also need to understand that as a part of the personality, people are not ready to learn new things. Okay. So, if they are not going to learn new things, okay, then they will not be able to grow and develop themselves. Okay. So, it is very important that you need to create a system, an environment where they are willing to learn new things. Similarly, they are also ready to unlearn certain things which may not be useful for them. Okay. But if and at the same time they are ready to learn and willing to unlearn certain things which are not say useful, probably they would be adopt new ways of doing things, and if they are going to adopt new ways of doing things, probably that would create better job performance for them. Similarly, they also need to see that they are able to control themselves. Okay. And they should be directed to learn on their own. Okay. And that is why most of the organizations have created systems and processes and also linked it to the reward, that if you are going to learn and develop something, you are going to be not only motivated and encouraged and appreciated, but you may be also rewarded for that purpose. Okay. And another important thing, especially the bottom line, is that if the company will grow, you will also grow. So, try to link the growth and development of the people with the growth and development of the people, both in terms of finance and non-financial issues. So, one important point that I have discussed here is that how you can link personality and professional attitude of the workers, and there is that developing the core competencies of the workers. So, these are the important activities or skills which need to be developed, right, like their thinking skill, they need to learn continuously, they have to work in a team, and they try to be innovative, and then they have to see that how they can do things in a new way. So, when I am talking about the developing the core competencies of the knowledge workers, which is very important when you are going to work in a knowledge intensive industry, and when we are talking about knowledge economy, it is very important that knowledge workers develop these critical skills, which is very important to apply knowledge to work more effectively. So, if you look at these skills, it can include thinking skills, okay, that how you can do things better, how you are going to process information, how you are going to solve certain problems. Okay. So, if you look at thinking skills, it relates to three major things, that is decision making and problem solving. Okay. So, if you have developed your thinking skills, probably you would be able to look at the decisions in a more rational way, and similarly you will be able to solve problems that comes to you, okay, and that would help you to perform you better, and that is how you can link your goals and objectives with the objectives of the organization. Another important issue is that learning never stops. Okay. So, as I was talking you that you need to continuously go for unlearning and relearning. Relearning means learning new things, doing new way of things, experimenting with new things, coming out with new ideas, and that is possible when you learn and develop yourself continuously. And similarly, you also unlearn those things which have become obsolete and outdated, because if you stop learning, probably what will happen? You become obsolete and outdated in due course, and that is why it is very important to continuously learn. Okay. And then you also need to work in teams, because if you are going to work in teams, probably that helps you to do certain things, like probably you are going to work in a more collaborative environment. Okay, we are going to cooperate and help each other, and that is what that is where it is required to coordinate your activities with other people in the team. Okay. And if you do go for these kind of things, probably you are going to be more innovative in your approach, and ultimately you need to experiment with, you need to develop what you call lateral thinking. Okay, thinking out of the box. Okay, that how you can think out of the box, that is how you can be more creative in your approach, how you can develop or think about new ways of doing things, and how you can experiment with new things, provided organizations permits these kind of things. So, the second most important thing is that you need to ensure that in a knowledge economy people develop those critical competencies, so that they are able to apply and use new knowledge in the organization. Third is facilitating a culture. As I was talking about, the culture is a very important factor. Okay. So, you have to create a culture of knowledge sharing, so that people are ready to share their knowledge with each other, and that would basically benefit the KM team to develop KM systems in a better way. Okay. And if you are going to share the knowledge, another advantage is that you will be able to transform tacit knowledge into explicit form. Okay. And how you are going to do it? As I have talked about it, through collaborations, through team efforts, okay, through incentives, you can encourage and motivate people to come out with knowledge sharing, and then also need to ensure that the top management commitment support for knowledge sharing is available to you. Okay. And then you have to see that how employees thinks about the kind of changes that is happening, okay, in the system, because if they think that the things are being transformed slowly, okay, and it is helping them, then and they are going to benefit out of it, probably they would adopt this kind of system. Okay. Similarly, if they find that okay, some transformational changes are going to be there, and this is how it is going to help the organization, and this is what they need to learn for these kind of radical or transformational changes, which is likely to happen in the system, probably they would be motivated for that, provided you have created a culture in the organization. And then the last point here is having a KM strategy. When I am talking about having a KM strategy, it is very, very important. Okay. So, your knowledge management strategy should be designed in such a way, so that you are able to regularly manage, update your knowledge systems. Okay. So, you need to maintain and update your knowledge management system regularly, so that it does not become obsolete and outdated. Okay. Make sure that experts are able to provide their knowledge or insights, which is available in tacit form, and it is being captured by the knowledge developers in the more explicit form. Okay. And similarly, you also need to ensure that the capabilities of the people are aligned with these kind of things, so that they are able to make use and create new knowledge. Okay. And also make sure that you have a good user interface for access of the information. Okay. So that you can access this kind of information, and you should also understand what is happening, okay, the meaning and the values of different kind of activities that is happening, how KM system is being strategically aligned with the goals and objectives of the organization, in what way it is going to add value to the business. Okay. Similarly, you also need to see that the goals and objectives of the organization is percolated down to the unit level, to the department level, and the individual, so that you can see the way you are going to contribute to the goals and objectives of the organization, okay, through departments or units. Okay. And you also need to see that you need to create a learning system and processes in the organizations through which you continuously learn, through training and development activities. Okay. You also need to develop a good HRD system for employee development, so that individuals learn continuously, and if individuals are learning, that is nothing else, but that is how organizations are learning, and if organizations are learning, probably they are going to manage knowledge in a better way, and they are going to be more creative and innovative. Similarly, you also need to identify assets in the knowledge. Okay. What are the different knowledge areas where you have core strength, okay, which could provide you competitive advantage. So, if you are able to identify your assets in terms of knowledge that you have, probably you can make better use of it. Okay. And then make sure that people have a better interface to make use of these knowledge assets in order to be productive and effective. Now, if you look at some of the current issues of knowledge management in Indian companies, there is a wide gap so far as infrastructure is concerned and as culture is concerned. So, these are two major issues today. So, cultural diversity as well as infrastructure gap, okay, which is happening, okay, in a country like India. So, this has become a very important issues. When I am talking about cultural diversity, so you know that we have people from different cultures. Okay. So, whether this culture is going to facilitate or not, this can also be used as a strength instead of a weakness, okay, because each culture talks about something that is good. Okay. So, if you are going to harness the cultural diversity, probably you need to use the strength of different cultures, okay, and then you see that how it could be integrated. Okay. Another important issue is infrastructure gap. Okay. There is a huge gap between infrastructure of many public and private sector organizations, and that is how you will find that you need to create infrastructure which could be related to IT and non-IT part both, so that you are able to develop a good knowledge management system. Okay. Now, if you look at many government institutions, okay, you will find that they do not have the kind of infrastructure, IT infrastructure that is required. Many private sector have good infrastructure. Okay. Similarly, you will also find that when you are going talking about the infrastructure that is required for a good knowledge management system in organizations, okay, you need support from various stakeholders. Okay. Maybe you need political support from the government, you also need social and economic support, which is very, very required, so that you are able to fulfill the infrastructure gap which is currently existing. Now, when I am talking about external factors, that is nothing else but environmental factors. Okay. And these external environmental factors basically are going to impact organization. Okay. Say for example, how IT is going to help you, whether it is enabler or whether it is creating certain constraints. Okay. So, IT is definitely an enabler. So, if you look at how environmental factors are going to interact with the organizational variables, you will find that yes, IT has since IT has a major role to play, you need to create IT infrastructure in place. Okay. And make sure that it does not create any kind of constraint, and that is how you will be able to create and protect knowledge resource. Okay. Another important issues that I have been talking about, the leadership structure and culture, which is very, very important, and I have already talked about that. Yes, commitment and support from the leadership is required. You also need a structure in place where you have knowledge officers, chief knowledge officers and chief learning officers who are going to report to the CEO and ensure that knowledge management activities takes place, and similarly you also need to create a knowledge sharing culture. So, these are the contextual factors which is very, very important for the organization, and also ensure that your IT, your employee attitude and behavior, the structure of the organization, okay, which are going to influence your knowledge processes, are much more sustainable. Otherwise, you are not going to benefit from a knowledge management system. Now, I am going to talk about another important issue which is very, very important. You know that on a global scale, there is a award that is being given for effectively using knowledge management system, okay. And this is known as most admired knowledge economy award. Okay. This is known as MAKE award. It basically talks about how organizations are transforming its tacit knowledge into explicit knowledge, okay, and how they are creating intellectual capital, okay, and that is how it is adding value to the business. Okay. So, if you look at the MAKE award, you will find that there are two global companies, that is Accenture and Microsoft, okay, which have been recognized in the global MAKE winners every year since it has been instituted in 1998. So, this MAKE award is being used as a criteria to see that whether the organization is really able to transform its tacit and explicit knowledge for the benefit of the organization and create better intellectual capital or not. So, these are the only two companies which have been the winners. Now, if you look at the criteria, okay, for this most admired knowledge economy winner, they have 7-8 dimensions that are used, that is whether you have been able to develop knowledge workers through management leadership, whether you have been able to deliver knowledge based products, services and solutions, okay, whether you have been able to appreciate your knowledge intellectual capital, okay, whether you have been able to create a collaborative enterprise knowledge sharing, whether you have been able to create a learning organization that is continuously improve and innovate itself, that is the organization is able to continuously improve and innovate itself, and that is when you are called a learning organization, okay, and whether you are able to add value to the business or whether you are able to create value for different stakeholders, okay. And finally, you have been able to transform enterprise knowledge into a shareholder or stakeholders value. Okay. Now, if you look at the case of Indians, 3 Indian firms have been able to be in the list, that is Tata Group, Infosys and Wipro India. Okay. And these are actually a part of the Globe Award winners. Out of 30 companies in 2016, at least Tata Group, Infosys and Wipro India, they have made it to the list and they are a part of the MAKE award winner. So, this shows that these 3 companies have been able to do lot of work, at least they have been able to work knowledge workers, develop knowledge workers, they have been able to deliver knowledge based products and services, they have created intellectual capital, they have created a culture of knowledge sharing, and they have been continuously improving and innovating themselves and delivered value to the organization. And if you look at some of the important findings, this shows that yes, these companies which are in the list have been able to manage their knowledge very well, which has resulted in big dividends for the organizations. They have gone for higher revenues. Okay. Means the profit margins have increased, okay, market share and profits have gone up, okay, and they have created knowledge driven culture and developed their knowledge workers through senior management leadership, and they have been able to see that they are able to train and develop good knowledge workers, and that is how the experience of the knowledge management, especially in IT company, comes to it. Similarly, there are certain issues which suggest that yes, there is yet to look at certain issues like people related issues, where you need to develop the skill and capabilities of the people, okay, to create learning organizations, and where you are going to, you are yet to work in a partnership with your different stakeholders and customers. Similarly, many of these awardees have not been able to address the digital world of the social media, okay, and the customization of the customer experiences. That is where they need to work. If they are able to do it, probably they would be able to create a better edge for the organization to compete. Okay. That's all. Thank you very much.